What about the verses where it says, I mean, I would like to know the interpretation, that God has made trade halal and riba haram. So it would mean, trade would mean something equitable and
equitable, yeah, indeed.
The life
Very,
of Parwez,
very much so, very much so. Trade is something where there is mutual benefit, and riba is a kind of trade where the other guy constantly suffers oppression. Riba, in my understanding, comes from the word rabwa. Rabwa, you see, if you look at these two books here, a guy standing here will constantly have to look up, whereas a guy standing here is standing on a rabwa. So you should always try to remove this and bring yourself down or bring the other guy up. That is the opposite of riba. But unfortunately, this entire world, whether or not they subscribe to banking or interest or whatever it is in riba. Because the world constantly, I don't know about Venezuela, but the world constantly strives to create this elitist economics where only a few people can truly benefit from earthly resources.
This is more thinking, sorry.
That's all right, please go ahead. This is a discussion.
So would it be that in this state, the best way to go about would be, for example, a social democracy in which you have heavy taxes and the taxes go back to people, maybe Scandinavian countries serving as a good example?
I think it's a bit of a problem because the development of the personality or the nafs is not factored in. Please don't get me wrong, I'm not against helping people, but I do believe that if you give simply money to certain people, they will abuse it. I believe that social welfare must go hand in hand with spiritual welfare, the development of the self, so that as you help people, you also help them become independent, kind of thing, rather than being on perpetual handouts. So that may not be very good for society, I think.
I think we really have to work within the reality of the system that we've got at the moment, where yes, like the money is coming from capitalist sources, things that we might not particularly agree with, but we have to earn as like what Yasin said, like we have to strive to earn things. I don't know how to do word it, but like we have to strive to earn our money in a correct way, in a halal way, and then give away as much of it as we can possibly give away, and then eventually this sort of organic state will... that's not exactly your point.
Let me just rephrase the word give away. I disagree with giving away.
Not giving away.
No, but what I agree with is empowering people to be able to do something.
Empowering people, yeah, indeed. I mean, that's one thing which I see a lot. I mean, this presentation is not about me, but even I see Parwez mentioning that with his self-development thing. I mean, self-development is very important rather than being like, give a man a fish kind of thing. You teach a man how to fish. I think that's much more necessary. But having said that, there are people who do need help. I mean, if they're disabled or unable to work, etc., they do need help.
I don't mean giving away, I mean giving as much as we can.
Sorry, Ed.
I just want to clarify a point here, because there seems to be a little bit of contradiction. For example, when you said about not giving, just giving money away, but to empower people, so creating some kind of programs or whatever. I only issue who runs that for a start. But you said about the chicken and chips thing. Now, when I come to London, I always carry a pocket full of pound coins, because I would see someone on the street, I would ask them for a direction or something, and then give them a pound for the direction. Is that wrong? Is that when you said about giving away, you don't just give them away, you have to empower them. So I've given this guy a pound to go and get, I don't know, if enough people give him a pound to get half a bottle of whiskey. Have I done something wrong, or is that my responsibility? Or is it none of my business what he chooses to do with that money?
Because you don't know where the money's going.
Or should I ask a whole bunch of people to get something together so that we can make sure he has a healthy dinner?
That may not be feasible at that particular time, so I think you should just do the best you can, really. I mean, if you can actually cook for him a sandwich, that's probably...
It just seems like there's a conflicting philosophy there. You shouldn't just give money away, but at the same time, you should give money to the homeless.
True. I mean, personally, I would prefer it if let's say a bunch of us got together, made some hot food or something and delivered it to certain people, that would be ideal. But if it doesn't happen, then I'm not going to let it prevent me from giving whatever I can. So I guess whatever you can do to the best of effect is probably.
Depends on your ability as well. Because if your ability extends to being able to offer a service to somebody, that's going to be different than saying, right, I'm going to give you some money. There's a number of homeless people that I meet on the way on a regular basis to work. For example, Josh, he's a great guy, but he always knows that, for example, at lunchtime, whenever he's there, we'll go and get some lunch. But he knows not to say, oh, can I have some cash? Because I know that he's a recovering millionaire. And I don't want to put him in that situation. So.
Yeah, I think this is what my issue is. Do we have the authority to decide that we won't give them money because they might spend it on heroin, but we'll give them a sandwich? I'm not sure I'm comfortable with.
Well, it depends on the individual. For myself, it rests better for me that I know if, for example, I'm helping someone, how I'm actually helping them, and if I'm helping them.
But you give him the money to go and buy, or you give him a sandwich to make him strong enough to go out and burgle someone's house to get the cash to buy his heroin.
You might be overthinking things a little bit here.
No, it's something that has always I've thought about for many, many years.
Yeah.
Whether, because I know people who will say, I'm not giving, vegan friends of mine, I'm not giving them money because they'll go in McDonald's, I'll go and buy them an organic brie and cranberry sandwich or something. Not brie, that's cheese, isn't it? On the other hand, I will give a guy who's sitting there with his cheap beer, I'll give him money knowing he's going to go and get beer, because if that's what gets him through the night, who the hell am I to judge?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So it's something that's always been conflicted, but I saw the two different arguments there and wondered if there is some kind of way of...
Personally, I would prefer to give a hot food, but I can't, so maybe I can give a sandwich. The plastic sandwiches you have in supermarkets, who wants to give that? So there are really loads of things you can think of as an obstacle.
There are multiple approaches to achieve the same goal.
So,
forward, in order to have some sort of social cohesion.
Yeah.
Because I think that's...
we shouldn't have homeless people.
We shouldn't.
Of course.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we do. So.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the reality of between here and the tube station. I'm going to pass the same homeless people I've passed on the way down. And only one of them.
Some of them don't even want food. I've given sandwiches before, and the guy said, "Cash, please."
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. I used to bring a bag of sandwich, things for this guy who sat outside the station every morning, and he said, "Are there any cigarettes in there?" So their priorities are not mine, but who am I to judge?
Yeah.
If he wants to get to his grave quicker by smoking and drinking, that's not my business.
But then why would you give him money to do
Why not? It's his business. If it's what gets him to that, I am not. I suppose because between me and being the alcoholic on the street could be a bottle of whiskey. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how that happens, but I have seen people do that.
But that whiskey
You're
goes
saying-
his life.
from having a
You're
drink.
seeing some good in that, but
Yeah.
what about if he's a gambler?
Same difference. Why is that my issue? If that's what gets him through the night, then who am I to judge?
I don't know if gambling can get him through the night.
How does it make
Of whiskey, I grant you, whiskey can get you through the night.
As well. Okay.
So see, my motivation, how it makes me feel. I don't do it just because it's good for somebody. I also do it because it makes me feel good. And I'm sorry, again, it comes back to the whole subject.
If you want to feel good, I could do with a few quid.
Lovely,
I
lovely.
can make you feel good.
Well, you had a question?
I faced that dilemma coming in this morning.
Okay.
As I was coming out of the tube, there's this guy right in front of me asking for money.
I know the guy.
Yeah? If you come in the same tube, all
He's
cars.
doing well, isn't he? He's just getting us all.
Sitting on the step next to him was his mate smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then I was sort of, what do? Do I give him money? Will he buy food with it? Will he go and smoke it? is he actually a drug addict and he wants the money to go in? So I passed on by because I couldn't resolve in my head what I was going to do in this situation. So it's very real, what happens, we see quite a lot, and it's very difficult. But as you say, it is at the end of the day, metaphorically speaking, we are each responsible for our individual actions. So giving money would have been the right thing. It's then his responsibility
That's right.
to do what he does with it.
Yeah. I've let go of it. Once you've let go of that pound, that's it.
Sorry, Alan, yeah.
To continue this,
No, please go ahead. It's your floor.
it is your duty. I mean, you're not supposed to give him money because you're helping him to stay in that state. You might as well buy him than alcohol. You're helping him to stay on the street if you give him actual money. Whatever it is that you're eating, buy him the same meal then.
Maybe he's not hungry.
No, that doesn't matter.
But then you can say that when
The
it
point
is.
that you made, like you do it for yourself, that made me think, oh, maybe I abdicate my own responsibility by giving him the pound, and now I can forget about it. So, yeah, I don't think it's probably a right.
Russell, yeah.
Can I just add, I mean, the problem exists at a quite serious scale as well. You can say the same thing, handing over aid money to all these sort of dictatorships in poor countries, where you say, well, aid money actually fuels corruption, so the same kind of problem. Do you actually give away cash?
So ultimately, you can't give away anything anymore. Wow.
Solution, revolution.
Sorry. Yes, Faisal.
Yeah. Actually, I think it again goes back to when you're giving, and this is, I think, for me, it boils down to what is the basic aim of life and what is the basic aim of morality here. I would draw heavily from writings of Mirza Ghulam Muhammad on this one. That he said something beautiful. He said hell and heaven basically in hereafter would be physical manifestations of your spiritual states in this world.
Beautiful.
And your spiritual states are directly related to your deeds in this sense. So when I am giving somebody money, I am helping that person, but the basic person I am helping is me. And I am helping my spirituality. And what really matters here is what is my intention of giving and how am I helping. God created these situations. If God wanted, He could have an utopic world in which everybody would have been happy. But I think, there are some people who are poor, there are some people who are in this situation, and there are some people who are in a position to help, and it is a test for all of us, And what really counts is how we, the physical becomes only a means for the spiritual. And so that is what essentially counts. Essentially what it counts is that if you're giving money with the right intention or if you're withholding money with the right intention, both are developing you spiritually. And this is the aim of existence, that we develop ourselves spiritually, because this world is a place where we develop ourselves spiritually. Hereafter is a place where while the veils are lifted and we can see our spiritual state as clearly as we see our physical state.
I find the break running. Yes, Jack.